I praise the Lord God the Father today, the one true God, and his Son, Jesus Christ. Hello, and I would like to welcome you to our message. I praise God for this window of freedom that we can still use before that time will come. I'd like to thank all those who are supportive of this channel. Please continue to pray, and thank you very much for your encouragements and your support. Friends, today I would like to share with you my blog, which I wrote just this morning. And it is entitled Restoration and Reformation. What is happening now within the Seventh-day Adventist Church is a deep struggle to restore the old path or continue the new path, which are branching out to newer paths. The old path was led by the founders and pioneers of the SDA Church, who were non-Trinitarians. They upheld the one true God and his only begotten Son, Jesus Christ. Also, they taught the pillars of truth as experienced after 1844. Which they all considered as the restoration of older path of truth, especially the Sabbath and the three angels' messages. Tucked in their writings are the messages of diet reform, dress reform, and decentralized organization. They preached the heavenly sanctuary message, advocated the Comforter as the Spirit of Christ. They all rejected pantheism, spiritualism, and New Age teachings at that time. They opposed creeds, church manual, and hymns that promote Trinitarian doctrine. While on the other hand, the new path started after the death of Ellen G. White, the pioneers, and their families. The apostasy completed in the 1980s when the church leadership voted to include Trinity as the number 2 belief of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. The new path was Trinitarian. They preach a new theology, which is contrary to the pillars of truth held by early Adventists. Sabbath was taken lightly, and the sanctuary message confused. They introduced centralized governance and incorporated the church to be run as a business enterprise with a set of creeds, hymns, and manual, much like the Roman Catholic Church. The levels of organization is strikingly similar, as well as the Trinity and the reinterpretation and rewriting of Daniel and Revelation series. The health message was not anymore the right hand of the gospel. The original health system blueprint was changed. The new path is a totally hybrid of some old ways and new ways of practicing the SDA faith. They embrace the New Age teachings too. The newer paths branched out of this new in the 1980s. It is a complete abandonment of the old path. They mimic the megachurch and the Sunday-keeping churches, loose moral standards, and redefining the new theology into more conforming and acceptable theology in the society. Sunday services are being offered as evangelism opportunity. This path is confusing, which leads back to Babylonian ways of worship and aspirations. Clearly, the choice is either to return to the old path or continue to innovate new paths toward conformity with the world. The one true God message is a call to separate from the new path and the return to the old path, which was forsaken and abandoned. I joined that movement to restore the old path and reformation to a new life, different from the world. I'm now calling on others to consider the message. Have mercy, O Lord. The word apostasy is defined as the abandonment or renunciation of a religious or political belief. The execution of their leader for apostasy brought widespread criticism. The word apostasy is simply applicable only to the Seventh-day Adventist Church after the death of the pioneers. Therefore, the Trinitarian teaching, the Trinitarian doctrine, the creeds, the hymns, and the church manual are all apostasy from the original Seventh-day Adventist faith. Therefore, I could boldly say, by the grace of God, that I came out of the apostasy and return to the old path, the original Seventh-day Adventist teaching. This is the struggle in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I'd like to introduce to you one of the men of apostasy. His name is his name is J.W.W. Prescott. I'm sorry to mispronounce that. Who is this William Warren Prescott? If you will access SDA Encyclopedia, you will find his name, and this is published in the internet. I will not read everything, just probably the highlight. W.W. Prescott. Why did I say it's not an accusation, friends? It's a statement of fact. He clearly apostatized from the original faith of Ellen G. White and the pioneers. I will explain that or read that here in the Encyclopedia of Seventh-day Adventists. 1855 to 1944. I hope you can see that on your screen. And please bear with me. My children are on the background. I hope and pray for them as I continue to broadcast, and that they will continue to pray for me as well there with their mom. And anyhow, let's go back to my subject matter. So this W.W. Prescott was a highly influential writer, scholar, administrator among Seventh-day Adventism's second generation of leaders. He served the church for a total of 52 years, holding numerous leadership roles in education and publishing and at the General Conference. He was a member of the General Conference Executive Committee for 42 years. One of the apostate men, Prescott William Warren, was highlighted as influential, highly influential. So you can imagine, friends, the head of the apostasy, or the heads that had led this church, were men who were highly influential. So you could read here. I will not read it anymore, but I will highlight his controversy with another person that I will contrast to. So he is this W.W. Prescott, Professor Westcott, was universally well liked among the Seventh-day Adventist new generation after the death of Mrs. White. So he participated in the 1888 Minneapolis General Conference session. He with sharp debates over righteousness by faith prompted a personal spirit renewal and a profound theology of paradigm shift for Prescott. Okay. The same post-1888 theological reorientation led Prescott to articulate a new Christocentric setting for the understanding of preaching of Seventh-day Adventist doctrine. His new gospel-centered approach, presented at the landmark evangelistic camp meeting in the late 1895 in Melbourne, Australia. He was enthusiastically endorsed by Ellen G. White and other church leaders. Okay, and let's move here. During his Australian sojourn, he had been invited to assist Ellen G. White in the revision of her manuscript for the Desire of Ages, published in 1898. The resultant book clearly articulated a Trinitarian understanding of the Godhead and became a significant change agent in this area of doctrinal development. You could really see how the falling away begins here. So you please read this if you have time. There's a lot to absorb here in this material, but I just wanted to highlight his his later years where he was having this struggle with another member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church during that time. So he was having this struggle with the man that I will read afterwards. I mean, his name was Judson Sylvanus Washburn. So he had a controversy over the teaching of the Trinity, which had come or had been highly presented by this highly influential person during his time. So who is J.S. Washburn? Let's go to his page. These are all almost current publishing. Judson S. Washburn was an evangelist, musician, and pastor who was deeply connected by pedigree with the church leading pioneers. So that is his introduction. He's, the Seventh-day Adventist Encyclopedia would throw a good light to those who are in the new path, and they would somehow show a darker light to those who are in the old path. So this is the case of Washburn, or Prescott, I should say, versus Washburn. This is the letter of J.S. Washburn to W.W. Prescott. You can see it's original. So let's begin. Dear Brother Prescott, your postal card of April 24 is at hand, and as you request, I'm sending you under separate cover a copy of my document on the Trinity. You are very much mistaken when you state that I have not represented your teaching on the Trinity correctly. I have quoted from your printed sermon in Tacoma Park Church, October 14, 1939, your exact words. And in my document, I have spoken highly of you personally with the utmost regard. At time in the past, you have been very kind to me, and I have been very sorry that I could not agree with you in your teachings. Twice I have visited you recently, once when you were not at home, but the second time we had a very pleasant visit. You have known for years that I could not agree with you in doctrine. That's Trinity. And when you so often differ from the fundamental teaching of Seventh-day Adventists, 1872 and 1889, fundamental principles, and with the spirit of prophecy, I am compelled to warn our people against your teaching. As I have told you many times in the past, if you have not so continually and so often criticized the teaching of Seventh-day Adventists and the spirit of prophecy and substituted the Conradi-Wagner doctrine that led them both to apostatize and leave the Lord's work, you might have been a power for good and a blessing to our work. My dear Brother Prescott, we are both growing old. I appeal to you once more. Give up all these differences with the teachings of God's people and of the spirit of prophecy, and strengthen the hands of the weak and confirm the feeble knees. And let us go on together to meet Christ at his coming. For, oh, my dear brother, it is near, even at the door. Most sincerely, your old-time friend and brother in the blessed hope, J.S. Washburn. What's happening here, friends? J.S. Washburn, as highlighted by the Encyclopedia of 7-8 in a not so bright light, he is a pedigree of the pioneers. And W.W. Prescott, a highly influential figure in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, is departing or apostatizing from the old path. That is what's happening here. That's why he wrote this public letter, this letter that is now publicly could be accessed. about his disagreement over Trinity. Washburn refers to the old path, the old fundamental principle, which is what the pioneers in Ellen G. White upheld until their death. So again, let me go back to my article. The struggle in the Seventh-day Adventist Church is either to restore the old path or continue to the apostasy new path. Old path, new path. One is the original solid foundation. The other one is apostasy, conforming with the Roman Catholic Church. So friends, the choice is very clear. Either you wanted to remain in ignorance or you wanted to study some more. I presented to you brief articles that you can read or access online. When I was reading this, as a student of history and theology, I could not just stay silent and stay in apostasy. Clearly, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, with men apostate from the old path, changed the religion of the Seventh-day Adventists. And majority loved it. I was just amazed how the majority accept, or maybe they didn't accept. It was probably propagated that the majority accepted the Trinity. I don't know. I was not there during 1980s, especially during the General Conference in Dallas, Texas. I was only 6 years old. But I kept the faith until I was baptized and turned 12 years old. So the apostasy continued. So my article today is challenging those who are still not able to discern or are closing their ears. I appeal to you, brethren. Our time is very short. The world is pressuring us. We need to find a place of safety. We need to find a place of refuge. We need to flee from the world. Our window of opportunity is smaller. And that's why I added my small voice to this campaign, to this movement. I am forsaken by my own church, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, leadership at least, by some of my relatives and even some of my friends. And the campaign to and for against boils down to the great controversy between Christ and Satan. The question is this: did the pioneers of the church from 1844 until the death of Ellen G. White, did they have a solid understanding of the controversy between Christ and Satan, the Son of God versus Lucifer, the imposter, the one who claims that he is also God? And Trinity afforded him that title, that cover, while on the other hand, Trinity obscures the Son of God. This is the battleground. This is the problem of the church. The identity, personality, and the claims of Jesus Christ, whether we believe it or not. That's the old path versus the new path. I was taught in the seminary, by the General Conference Seminary in the Philippines, that the Trinity is the true message, that Sister White changed her mind and became a Trinitarian. When I found that all of these teachings of my professor to me were false, I abandoned the apostasy. I cannot stay in apostasy, friends. I want to restore the old path, and I want to reform my own life by the grace of God. We still have freedom for now, but it's censored. And I hope and pray that God will guide us and direct us where to flee for safety, just like the Waldensians. As the world hates those who love God the Father, the only true God, and his Son, the only begotten Son, Jesus Christ. Sad to say, the present Seventh-day Adventist Church hates the old path. They want to continue in the new path towards destruction. Join me in the old path, friends, the narrow way. If you join the new path to a broader way, it is the way of death and destruction. Believe me, I see it clearly. And so today, I pray that you will find encouragement and comfort through the Spirit of Christ. And by His Spirit alone, we can know all things and glorify our Father who is in heaven. And God continue to bless you and keep you. It is a solemn time.